Hey everyone, we're Red Donkey Projections. I'm Eric and we have Lucas as always.
Hey everyone.
So we're going to be doing today an updated presidential prediction. Today is August 4th, 2020. We'll be going, we're going to be filling out the safe states and then we're going to be going through each individual battleground state and we will show the final electoral map.
That is correct. This is our bi-weekly prediction that we do every 2 weeks. And with that being said, let's get right into it. All right, and as we usually do, we're going to be walking through all these safe states, starting with the Democratic safe states.
Yep.
These states do tend to be on the coasts, East Coast, West Coast. In the United States, we have very few swing states that ultimately decide an election. Usually states vote one way or the other and have consistent voting patterns. The state of New Mexico, we have decided to now move to the safe column due to polls, due to how rapidly it is becoming more democratic. Looking at demographics, we're going to be moving this one to safe.
Yep.
Now,
and also, I just wanted to add a point that, later in this video, you'll see some congressional districts, and which also supports the fact that urban areas, which are smaller congressional districts, usually tend to lean to the left. So urban areas such as the East Coast, New York City, and on the West Coast, California, Los Angeles, and Oregon, Washington, they usually tend to lean to the left. So urban areas are more democratic. Yep. Now, Lucas.
absolutely.
Yep.
And I
Now,
got to add a point here that there are not many that changes from our last episode where we did our prediction. There are some little changes, but really not too much. In fact, the vote numbers are the same, just the margins are a little bit different here. We're going to quickly go through all of our likely states that we have moved from safe to likely. With the first one, I accidentally put as safe, but Missouri, we are going to move to likely. Looking at the overall polling, looking at the overall demographics, we have decided to move the state of Missouri to likely. Same can be said about Mississippi, about the same reasoning as Missouri, and the same with Montana as well. So all these three states, we are going to be moving to likely from now on. All right, let's get through now the likely Biden states. The first state is Nevada. Nevada has always been likely. Polling here in the state swings to the right. Usually looking at past elections, it does overestimate the Republican. We saw that in the 2016 presidential election, 2018 Senate election. We're putting this one as likely.
Yep. And also, fun fact about Nevada, they have just approved mail-in voting that was passed by Democratic politicians. So Republicans will definitely try to fight that. So maybe, I don't know, maybe Nevada will become a little bit more competitive, but that's just some general news.
Yeah. Mail-in voting is an interesting topic because it does kind of support both sides. We'll dig into that in a different episode, but it is very interesting to talk about. New Hampshire is another state. Polling has supported this as well. 9-point lead for Joe Biden. Considered a quote-unquote swing state, the Alabama of the Northeast. But in the past few elections, from 2018 to now, it has voted for the Democratic candidate ever since. Even Hillary Clinton carried the state by about 3 points. We think Biden will carry it by more, so we're putting this one as likely. Another likely state. For the first time on our channel, we are officially putting the state of Michigan as likely. I know this is a very, very bold characterization, considering that Donald Trump did win the state in 2016. We're moving this state to likely due to a variety of factors. The first being that Donald Trump has pulled ads from the state of Michigan. He has, he's kind of given up on it.
Yeah, it's essentially what people say.
Yeah, because polling supports this as well, about a very large lead for Biden, around 7 to 9 points, somewhere around there. Also, huge African-American population here. A high turnout would be very good for Joe Biden because he does do very well with the African-American voters. And additionally, with the recent Black Lives Matter movements, we could see also increased turnout from the African-Americans because a lot of them do disapprove of how President Trump handled the recent Black Lives Matter protests.
Mm-hmm. And also, This is kind of old news a little bit, but we all remember how Donald Trump clashed with Michigan's Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer about how each of them responded and handled the coronavirus. This definitely did um, put Biden up in the polls a lot, and the people of Michigan will definitely remember the coronavirus outbreaks that happened here because of the federal government's inability, to provide them with resources, and how the Democrats were really upset because of that.
All right, enough with Michigan. Another state that we are putting as likely Democratic is the state of Virginia. Virginia, we've always put as likely Democratic, and we don't think that much is changing here. Polling does support this as well. All right, Minnesota, another likely Democratic state. I've always put it at this. I believe Biden is up by about 7 points, I believe. Is that correct, Eric? I think 7 points, somewhere
Yeah,
around there.
10 points. This was the epicenter of the Black Lives Matter movements. This is where all the riots around the country started. And this is a few weeks ago, Minnesota was at its high, really, really high point, for Joe Biden, at least. And it's kind of calmed down a little. It used to be like plus 11 in Minnesota. But now, yeah, it's somewhere around plus 9, plus 7, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do think this is probably a likely state. This even went to Hillary Clinton in 2016, narrowly, even though she lost the entire blue ball. All
Almost,
right.
yeah.
Is that it for likelies? I think that is it for likelies. Alrighty.
Colorado.
Oh, Colorado. Oops, forgot about that. Always put this one as likely. Polling supports that. It has been swinging a lot to the left recently. All right. Let's now go to the lean Democratic states. The first lean Democratic state is Wisconsin. As we said many times, most likely state for Trump to win in the blue wall. However, Wisconsin, we're seeing polling looking very, very well for Joe Biden, and we could see white working class voters that supported Trump in 2016 flipping to Joe Biden now in 2020. That would look very well for him, since he would be able to flip this state by taking those white working class voters that Hillary lost in 2016. Trump's approval is also not looking good here either. Therefore, we have decided to move the state of Wisconsin from tilt to lean. We put it as lean last episode, but we used to put it as tilt. This is very surprising considering that when we first started our channel, we would put Wisconsin as tilt R, and a lot of people did too. Looking at the polls, looking at everything, Trump had a solid grasp on it. I don't want to say solid grasp, but he had a slight grasp on it. That has changed now. With his handling of the coronavirus, has definitely impacted Wisconsin here. Pennsylvania is another one that we have moved to lean. So Pennsylvania is interesting in that some parts of it has the more cities, big urban areas. Philadelphia, that's on the East Coast, and Pennsylvania also has those rural towns, such as in central Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And those places do tend to vote more for the Republican candidate. We saw that in 2016, where we saw turnout there. And that's kind of how Trump was able to take the state of Pennsylvania. We are disagreeing with that from what happened in 2016 now. And we do think that Biden will carry Pennsylvania at the end of the day. Polling, not our main indicator, but it does show Biden leading there. Additionally, Pennsylvania is the state where Biden was born, not his home state, but he lived here for some time, and it was the place where he was born. Taking everything into account, we do think that Pennsylvania will be going to Joe Biden this November.
Disclaimer.
Yep.
Yeah, disclaimer, Biden has already won the election. He has went past 270 electoral votes.
He has. All right, Eric, why don't you head now into Arizona, which is another lean state.
Yeah, let's head over to Arizona. So, as I've said in previous videos, Arizona does have a fairly conservative electorate. There are some very conservative Republicans in Arizona that just are very loyal to whoever the Republican candidate is. The thing is, it is being bounced out by the Latinos and Latinas in Arizona, which most of them are in support of Black Lives Matter movement, and most of them do oppose the Republican Party. Yes, I will admit there are some Latinos and Latinas who actually do support Donald Trump. He did gain 1% of Latino support. It went from like 27 to 28. Still not the majority, but 1% is 1%. We do think that Arizona will go to Joe Biden in a lean margin, which is crazy to think about since Donald Trump did take Arizona in 2016. But we do feel like Arizona is, switching demographics once again. This new Latino and Latina vote is being balanced out, and this does actually apply to other states in the South, but more east.
I agree with that. Now let's also head to the state of Florida. We made a whole video on this one too. We do think that Biden will win this state at the end of the day. It is pretty. We do think that he will win it in a relatively okay margin, maybe like 3-4 points. According to polls, it's about a 7-point lead, six to 7 point lead. I think it's actually 6. But in addition to polling, we got to take a look at the events that happened. With the recent COVID-19 outbreak, Governor Ron DeSantis has not been handling it well, and many people don't believe that either. He has reopened things, has caused a spike of coronavirus cases in the state of Florida. And that will reflect really badly on not only him, but also President Trump as well, because Governor DeSantis is a staunch ally of President Trump. So as a result, we are going to move the state of Florida to lean. We are going to put this as lean for now. So let's now head into our other lean states. Let's start with the state of Texas. Yes, Biden is leading by 0.2. Yes, it has narrowed. Texas, honestly, I think it is in reach for Joe Biden. Is it likely to go to him? No. But it's in reach now. Recent polling.
And only in reach.
Yeah, it is in reach. Recent polling, high minority turnout would look very good for Joe Biden, also the white educated voters. So we are going to put this one as lean, but we do think the polling might tighten up a bit or like even go to the lead for President Trump. So we're going to put this one as lean from now on, or at least for now. We could see it go to the left a little bit more. We could see it go to the right a little bit more, but it is kind of too early to tell. Georgia, Biden was actually leading here. And as I said in many episodes, the reason why we are seeing Joe Biden kind of losing in the polls a little bit in some states is due to Black Lives Matter news not being in the news anymore that much. It's not really trending. As a result, we could see Trump gaining a little bit. Yes, he is gaining a little bit in the polls. A lot? No. It's a slight lead. We expected this because we knew the margins would tighten. Biden was leading by about 1 point in Georgia, which is very surprising. Now it has flipped to Trump leading by 1 point. High African-American turnout could be good for Biden. It is swinging a lot to the left, but we do think that at the end of the day, Donald Trump will carry the state. Eric will now be talking about Ohio.
Yep. So we have decided to put Ohio as a lean, as Lucas just plotted out. Ohio was giving us very surprising statistics in the sense that Biden actually was leading here by like 0.5 or a very small lead, just like in Texas. But Joe Biden was leading here. The thing is, as Lucas said, we expected this. He lost that lead. Now Trump is leading here by a point. I'm not really sure. I don't remember. Donald Trump did win the state in 2016. So we were really surprised at first how Joe Biden even managed to flip the state for a little bit in the polls. But we do think that some of these voters in Ohio are staying loyal to Donald Trump. It's definitely not going to be in the margins in March or even 2016, which was a likely. It's definitely going to be at a lean right now just because of the events that really did impact Ohio. And I will also add one more thing. Probably won't impact the state much, but as we said in the 400 electoral votes video, you can go check that out. John Kasich is very likely to endorse Joe Biden at the Democratic National Convention. How much this will help, we're not really sure. But the fact that a moderate Republican, is going out and supporting a Democrat maybe could swing some undecided votes.
I agree with that. I think that it might flip a little bit of those moderate Republican voters. John Kasich was a very, very popular Republican governor of the state of Ohio. So maybe it'll have some impact. But right now we are going to put this one as lean. The same can be said about Iowa. Very similar reasons to Ohio. Iowa was won very, very largely by, in a very large margin in 2016, about 9 points. Polling right now has about a 2-point lead for Trump, I believe. So we do think that this state will, at the end of the day, be going to Donald Trump. It's not out of reach for Joe Biden yet, so it's slightly possible that he can win it, but we don't think he should be focusing his resources on a state like Iowa. Alrighty, that is it for the one more lean. Maine 2nd District, very rural place, and I'll do this demonstration again. How can we tell that it is a rural district? As Eric said earlier in this video, congressional districts usually are distributed more or less by their population. So therefore, these two districts we do think that they do have a similar population, but this part has a lot more lands than the 1st district. This must mean that the 1st district is a little bit more, it's a little bit more population dense. So those places do tend to vote more for the Democratic candidate. However, because it's so large, we can assume that it is probably pretty rural, and that is probably going to be one reason why they are going to be voting for the Republican, because that is how rural districts usually do vote. All right, let's head now into our tilts. I'll start off with Nebraska 2nd. Eric will talk about North Carolina. Nebraska 2nd District, pretty urban place. Opposite story from Maine. They have the city of Omaha, the largest city in the state of Nebraska. Polling has very much looked good for Joe Biden here. It's up by about double digits, I think, last time we did our polling episode. We are going to put this as tilt for now. There were not a lot of polls that came out. We're going to wait for some more polls to come in, but we are going to leave it as tilt for now. Eric, why don't you head to our final state here, the state of North Carolina.
Yep, so we do think that North Carolina is going slightly into a tilt margin. We couldn't plot it on this map, but we do think it's somewhere in between the tilt and lean margins. North Carolina is a pretty competitive battleground state. Donald Trump did take it in 2016, and it's going to be very competitive in the Senate race as well. Polling right now shows North Carolina only up 2 points for Joe Biden. This is one of the smaller leads that he has, which is why we can't give it a lean, because if we even take into account that polling leans to the left, Biden is not leading by much here in North Carolina, which is why we can't put it at a lean. Maybe if he takes the counties in here, such as Mecklenburg, maybe it could go to a lean, but we're just not sure yet. And we were expecting Biden to kind of lose steam in a lot of these states. It doesn't apply to North Carolina, right? So what we end up with here is that the Electoral College shows 334 to 204 electoral votes. This is essentially a landslide for Joe Biden.
I agree with that. Not as big as 2008, but it's a pretty big win. As Eric said, Joe Biden is not polling polling as well as he used to before. But again, this was very much expected because the events at some point would not be trending that much anymore. And because we still have this much time towards the election. It is a slight decrease from what he had before, but it is a little bit. We don't think much will change though. Anyways, with that being said, that's the end of the video for today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this episode, please hit the like button. If you like our content, please subscribe. We'll see you in our next episode, actually live stream tonight, where we'll be live streaming the Kansas Senate primary as well as other races. We'll see you then.
See ya.